So I got some new gadgets for the old dyno mule here. Yes, my 74 Barracuda is my dyno mule. It gets things swapped on it constantly. Everything's kind of a mismatch on it. Been running TBI on it on this 383 for several years now. All kinds of different systems. But now, something pretty exciting. I got an intake back that is that has been converted for multiport. Check out that guy. So now I'm going to work on getting the intake on there and putting the wildcard 2 on it. First, I'm going to go over the wildcard 2 in a separate video and go in detail on all the installation. Thanks for watching. Hey everyone, I'm Brian Stillwell with Nomadic Dyno, and today I'm going to be going over the Wildcard 2 kit. My car is ready for a multiport upgrade. I just got a new intake made for multiport specifically for it. So I'm going to be switching that out. So before that, I just wanted to go over what comes in the standalone kit. This is not for anything specific at all, it's just the standalone wildcard kit. I didn't need everything because I already had a Joker kit. I just needed the basics for the wild card. So I got the Bluetooth module version. So first, obligatory stickers, very important. I think I have a book of those by now. All right, let's see what's first. And I already took all the packaging stuff out of this when I got it. But it is packaged better than that. Here is the ECU itself. Nothing out of the ordinary there. It's the same size as the first generation. It just has a 2 on it now. Okay, moving on to the next thing. Let's see. This one is a Bluetooth module. So you get the Bluetooth module itself and the harness. So you notice it has a couple different things in here. This will go in with the new CAN hub that they just released. I do not have one of those yet. I need to change that. So this will be your standard one that would go into a monitor. Just has the CAN port on the end that you're used to if you've used one of these systems. If you're not, then that's what plugs into the main harness. Otherwise, this with both green ends, this is designed to plug directly into the CAN hub that I don't have. I'll try to put a picture somewhere there. So, put that back. Comes with a little key of sorts. I haven't messed with it enough to know what that's for. Like a little push pin. Okay. We've got 2 widebands. Nothing out of the ordinary with these. They come with the weld-in bungs and your standard wideband O2 sensor. These are compatible across all the units, so I don't need them because the car's already equipped with 2. So they make good spares for the dyno or whatever else. I also find when I need spare parts like this, depending on how many spare parts I need, sometimes it's cheaper just to get a kit of something and have extra stuff. Same exact thing in this one, just another O2 sensor. You can run the multi-port kits with 1 or 2 O2 sensors. You don't have to use both. All right, so let's get into the baggie. Let's get this out of the way. dump that because that's a crinkly, annoying thing. All right, put the O2 sensors back away too. All right, so first sensor's intake air temperature, or in the software on the handheld, it's labeled as MAT, manifold air temperature. Same thing. It's a sensor that goes into your intake tube or filter base, something before it enters, so you have the air temp going in. Just a pretty basic sensor. I'll try to zoom in on that in the editing if I'm smart enough to. If not, it's an intake air temp sensor. Toss that in there. Next up, map sensor. So this one is the 1036B. So this one is a 3-bar sensor, if I remember correctly. Should be. Yeah, it's a sensor. We'll see how fitment goes with this on my throttle body there. So I'll toss the map sensor in there. Every kit anymore comes with a USB CAN cable. This is what you need to connect to the laptop to do any advanced tuning. And if you're not utilizing the advanced tuning, you're doing yourself a huge disfavor, whether you do it yourself or have someone like myself tune it. Simple, somewhat clearish gray cable, plugs in the USB. This plugs into your main harness. I'm thinking might be able to connect it to the CAN hub. I don't know yet. All right, what's our last sensor? Probably coolant, yes. Just your standard coolant temp sensor that comes with every kit. Looks like that little guy. And this is the bare bones standalone kit. This wasn't for any specific engine or anything. So it just comes with what it needs by itself. Not everything you need to run. This is the injector harness. Oop, that's not. Alright, just a normal 8-cylinder injector harness. This one's labeled for like GM and Mopar, not Ford. Meaning the cylinders alternate each side. This is just a Hall effect for the Gambler distributor. It's just an extension. So nice that they bring that or include that for a little more leeway with where you mount everything. Okay, so let's see what we got now. There's a sensor harness and a sensor harness. So they come with 2 sensor harnesses with some minor differences. So this one is made for, let's see, that one's got a 3-wire map. And they both got 3-wire maps. Let's see if I can find a visual difference here. That part number ends in, it's AH2013. This one is also AH2013. This one's -2, and this one's -1. So, we've got IAC and IAC look the same. We've got intake air temp sensor. An intake air temp sensor. Those look exactly the same. Yeah. All right, and then we got the map sensor. Okay, those plugs are different. The map sensor plugs They're both 3-wire, but they are indeed different. So let's see which one works with. It's 1036 here. Okay, so it looks like, yep, it fits on that one. So harness number AH2013-2 is the one that works with the map sensor that was included in this particular kit. They give you options, and then the TPS is the exact same. So the only difference that I visually see about these is the map sensor connector. That's an IAC. The map sensor connectors. So get those out of the way. Okay, now we have, oh, so this is your mounting goods and more. So keychain, can't have too many of those. Rubber grommet for those of you that like to install stuff inside the engine bay. Another sticker. And this is a USB adapter. It's not a flash drive, it's just an adapter. So this, you can plug in your regular USB-A flash drive into here, and then it converts it to USB-C for your handheld. This didn't come with a handheld, but it's nice that they still included the adapter. I personally just use a USB drive that has USB-C on it because I lose these things like immediately, even though I have like 12 of them now. This is just your rubber isolator for mounting your ECU. It comes with all the hardware you need to do that if you choose to use this. That's those goodies. I also like to point out I bought this stuff. Like, this wasn't sent to me to review or anything. It's, I have a multiport intake for my car. I want multiport fuel injection. So I bought it to test it. Same with the intake. I bought the intake. I paid a company, 417 Motorsports, to do all the work on it. I'll show that more later. I'll toss that in there. Okay, main goodies. So this has all the relays and stuff on it. I know some of their newer harnesses are slimmed down for PDM. This one's not, and I'm perfectly okay with that. Your additional wires. So I already know this has less than my Joker kit did, which is going to, because it has less capabilities as far as rev limiters and 2-steps, things like that. But you got, let's go through this. We have, this is a 12 volt out. This would be what I would use for like power in a relay or something that you want to come on with the system. Nitrous in, input for nitrous so that you can retard timing based on your tables. Fan 1 and fan 2, these are just ground controls for a fan relay. Do not connect your fan directly to these. I should also note on the nitrous, as of right now, that is just for timing. There is no fuel functionality with the nitrous input as of now. Fan wire. Sensor 5 volt. So that'd be a 5 volt source for a sensor. And this would be a ground for that same sensor circuit. And then I thought there would be a actual sensor wire, but there's not. So in any case, you have a 5 volt source and a ground. And then TPS out for, you know, transmission controllers, things like that. A tack out wire and a tack in wire. Though on a multi-port, I'm not sure what you would use the tack in for, since you're using the Hall effect for your tack input. So I'm not sure about that. That might be in the future reprogrammable to something else because it's not really needed on this. Okay, main harness. I'm not going to untape this right now. You have your main plugs. Might as well untape it. Who am I kidding? Okay, you got your main plugs. Let's go into your ECU. Get this sprawled out here. You've got your loose wires here. So you have a heavy red and a heavy black wire. I think they're 14 gauge off the top of my head. These go directly to your battery. If your answer is anything other than direct battery, just put them direct to battery. The end. Okay, this would be for a fuel pump output. Depending on how much your fuel pump draws or how long of a stretch you have, you might want to use this just to control a relay and then have a different source of power for your fuel pump. Especially once people get into the higher horsepower multi-port stuff, they're using a bigger pump than this can handle. So I recommend just using it to control a relay for your fuel pump. And this is your 12 volt switched power. So whether you are using the key in your vehicle, a toggle switch somewhere, this is the wire that turns on your ECU and turns it off. Pretty self-explanatory there. Best to have this on a clean source as well. If you are using your factory wiring on a vehicle to turn on the ECU and off, I recommend using a relay for that as well. So you'd have 12 volts coming directly from your battery, going to a relay, your switch, your key, and whatever circuit you're using turns that relay on, completing the circuit, getting nice clean 12 volts directly from battery to your ignition switch. There are a lot of gremlins that show up with wiring this in with factory wiring and getting a whole bunch of backfeed from all kinds of different things. Another thing you can do too, when you get a brand new system and everything, get everything mounted and stuff, you can kind of, I don't say dry fire, but you can temporary wire it. If you hook up your main wires and just use like a toggle switch for your ignition source direct to battery, you can test everything, make sure everything works before you spend all the time wiring everything in to be really pretty and then find out that, you know, your drawn voltage when you turn the key on, it drops to 8 volts. Then you know, okay, there's something in my vehicle circuit I need to troubleshoot instead of the EFI. So then you can verify the EFI works as intended before you tie it in with your vehicle's electronics. So then move on, you got 2 fuses. One's the main fuse, the other one is for fuel. Heavier gauge. Fuse 1 is your main fuse, fuse 2 is for your fuel. Then you have your pump relay and your main relay here as well. So this is for your additional wire harness that we talked about before. If you don't have anything that you need wired into this, you don't need it. Some people even get crazy enough to de-pin all this and just use the 1 or 2 wires they need so they don't have a bulky connector in there. Up to you. CAN connector for your handheld, the CAN hub or Bluetooth modules, or your USB cable. This is where your sensor wire harness plugs into. This is where your Gambler distributor plugs into, or Hall effect. Gamblers seem to work best with their systems though. For your ignition coil, note that this did not come with a coil or distributor or injectors or any of that. This is your injector harness, or where your injector harness plugs in. And then you've got your coolant temp sensor wire and your 2 wideband sensors. Again, if you're using just one wideband, plug it into wideband 01. And then when you're using both, 01 goes in driver side bank, 02 goes in passenger side bank. Okay, that's everything that came in the kit. If you need the directions, they are online. You go to the support drop down, and then there's user manuals, and find which system you bought and download that manual. Then you can print it off from there. It's a lot easier for them to update the manuals as often as they need to online versus reprinting series of books constantly. I know some people like to have the book, and I think some systems are coming with a book again. I have a Killshot 2 Pro book that came with that kit that's on the car. So they do exist. Now moving on to the other components you will need for it. So this is a 440 Mopar Gambler distributor, a Hall effect. It's been through hell already with me. Hall effect, 3 wires. Got a little roasty from a fuel fire, but still works just fine. I had to use an adapter to use it in the 383. Anyone familiar with big block Mopars knows that the low deck takes a different distributor, but you can get one of these adapters off of Mancini Racing. They have 2 different diameters. The bigger diameter one is what I needed for this. I bought both, and then it's just a Hall effect distributor that tells you where number 1 needs to be when you line everything up. It has a narrow tooth compared to the rest. And I don't know how well you'll be able to see this. This is just an overview. I'm not trying to teach you how to install it in this video. It's just kind of what you need and what you get. Okay, so you need a Hall effect distributor with a 7+1 reluctor so that it knows when to fire each cylinder's injector. So moving on to that, this is the ACES 440 single plane multiport intake. Pretty self-explanatory. It's a pretty big, I think it's like 6.5 inches, 6 or 6.5 inches from the base to the top. It's got -8 fuel rails on it, and this particular one came with these 65-pound injectors. This came with a Joker kit that I have. And there's other reasons I'm not using the Joker. That's besides the point right now. So yeah, these are 65-pound injectors. Not much else to go over with this. I have been running it deadheaded, and it's worked just fine. Ideally, you want a full return system. What I'm going to do on the next one is I have 2 feeds on it. So that's the 440 intake. And then what I got head made just recently is this intake for my 383. It's just a Edelbrock Victor for a low deck big block Mopar, and then they welded in bungs and fuel rail mounts and put -8 fuel rails on this. And I have it necked down to -6 because that's what my fuel system is, and it handled it just fine on the 440 with 1 inlet. Feeding this with -6, there was never any fuel starving issues. It's just fine. So just to make things a little more even this time, I am feeding both rails, and then I'll move this crossover pipe to here as well. Before I finish assembling my rails and everything, I am going to flow test every single injector so I can see where the variances are, because you can adjust in the software how much injector is flowing compared to the others. So if I have an injector that flows 5% less on the flow bench, theoretically I can just add 5% in the software. It's probably not a 1-to-1, but it at least tells you which cylinders to look out for in adjusting the fuel. Okay, another thing you will need, and if you order a top end kit, you get the distributor, you get a coil, and you get this throttle body. So right now I have, actually it's a GM map sensor that's shoved in here right now, but this is the same harness. It's just from my Joker kit, the sensor harness. Nothing special there, or is nothing different from the Wildcard one. You've got 2 plugs on the back that are both manifold vacuum, and you have 2 ports on the front that are both manifold vacuum. And then there's a port on the side. Yeah, that's also manifold vacuum. So I don't see any ported vacuum on this. You don't really need it since you're not running a vacuum distributor, vacuum advanced distributor. These throttle bodies are also set up to be relatively progressive compared to most of their others, compared to their TBI units. So you get a whole lot of modulation off of your front cylinders, or front throttle blades, before the back ones open. As you can tell, none of this is scripted. It's completely just on a whim. And then here's my injector harness from the Joker. Same thing as the Wildcard harness. So there you have it. That's what comes with the Wildcard and the very, very base. And here's the rest that you need to make it function. It's definitely most cost effective to get the top end kit that comes with your intake, the throttle body, and distributor and coil. But no one makes an intake for a 383 Mopar that's ready to go for fuel injection. So here we are. All right, next thing, I need to get this intake tossed on there. And the good part about that is, for all my future testing, I can just remove that and unhook the fuel and run whatever throttle bodies I want on here for more future testing. So this intake can stay on here forever now.